want to invite Team A to come in. We all know that ethics is currently a global issue that needs to be addressed quite greatly. With the case study that was presented to us, we use the CFA Code of Ethics as our base of judgment. We recognize the first code as professionalism, which is concerned with the knowledge of the law, and integrity of the capital markets, where one must not use or disseminate any material non-public information, nor should they work to manipulate the market. Duties to the clients is concerned with where one must preserve the confidentiality of the clients, and in doing so must also remain loyal to their clients. Duties to the employers, one must forever remain loyal to the employer and carry out their duties as a supervisor. In investment and analysis, one must carry out due diligence in the work, and in any case, must use reasonable bias before giving any recommendation or taking any action. Conflict of interest, one must forever disclose their conflict of interest, and as a CFA candidate or a member, one must work in a way that will not tarnish the reputation of the institution. Now, for the next few minutes, we'll take you through our presentation, which we will look at the ethical issues and discuss whether they outweigh each other. We'll look at certain recommendations to the individuals as well as to the firm, and then we'll give you a detailed plan and look at how feasible that plan is. I will now let Karan take you through the ethical issues.
So thank you, Cynthia. We'll begin with Victoria. First of all, she reveals material non-public information when she informs Frederick, a long-term client of hers, about the intentions of the Ibrahims to sell their stock in pharmacare, and due to their relationship to the company, he acts on this information. He did this before their sell orders were executed, therefore this material was non-public and therefore a breach of our ethical standards. Moreover, she does this without the express consent, thereby violating their confidentiality. Furthermore, we believe a conflict of interest does arise concerning the intentions of Frederick to purchase stock of Hub Technologies, a company Victoria as an advisor has a negative outlook on. However, she must refrain from advising him since she got this information through inside information and an unofficial opinion of her colleague. Moreover, a conflict of interest arises since she feels compelled to inform him due to the fact that he is a long-term client, and she should inform the compliance department about this situation. Moreover, she is an accessory to insider tipping since she accepts soft dollar payments on behalf of her fiancé Collins, who we will look at next. Yeah. Collins actively disseminates material non-public information to his friend Paul. Furthermore, he accepts soft dollar payments for this information, which violates his integrity as an analyst for cybersecurities. Moving on to Frederick. He acts on material non-public information when Victoria advises him about the intentions of her clients, the Ibrahims. However, we do acknowledge he may be naive to the situation as he's a retired engineer and does not work in the investment field. I will yield the floor to my colleague James, who will take you to the rest of the participants.
So Paul, Tanya, and Teddy compromise the integrity of the capital markets. So Paul does this by actively seeking out the insider information and disseminating the information to his boss, Teddy. Tanya disseminates critical information about Baer's new products to Collins, therefore disseminating material and public information. And by doing so, she is also disloyal to her employer. Teddy acts upon the insider information when he covers his short hedge position, and besides compromising the integrity of the capital markets, Teddy also fails his duties to his employer as he is responsible as a supervisor by asking a subordinate to seek out the insider information. He also fails his duties to his clients as when he receives the information, he front runs with it, showing that he did not prioritize his clients' transactions. Teddy is also unprofessional as he engages in deceit. This is because the soft dollar payments paid to Victoria for insider information are called something else in the financial statements. So do some issues outweigh the others? Now the answer is yes. Firstly, we have deceit. Deceit tarnishes the reputation of all financial practitioners, and the financial institutions need their clients to trust them. Secondly was the use and dissemination of material and public information. It compromises the integrity of the capital markets And for any economy to grow, it requires an efficient capital market. Thirdly, we looked at the issues that made them fail their duties to their clients, as any financial institution should put their clients first. This issue was the breach of confidentiality and the non-disclosure of conflicts of interest. Lastly are the issues that made them fail their duties to their employers, which were the non-disclosure of referral fees and the irresponsibility as a supervisor. I'll now call upon Joanne to give us the recommendations.
So now that we've gone through the ethical issues, we move on to what should the participants do to resolve this. And starting with Victoria, hand in hand with Collins, they should both report themselves to the CFA, CFA PCP Institute. This is because they're both CFA level 1 candidates and it's a requirement to do so annually. She should also disclose her conflict of interest with respect to Frederick. She should go ahead to abstain from receiving soft dollar payments from Teddy on behalf of Collins' misconduct. And in the same line, Collins should cease from actively disseminating and seeking out material and public information. We can now move on to Teddy. Teddy should come forward to the CMA, and he should also come forward to his superiors. We also feel that he should step down as the fund manager. This is because his collusion with a subordinate, it compromises his authority as a leader. He should also disclose his misconduct to his clients. For Paul and Tanya, our recommendations for these two individuals were more or less the same. They should both report themselves to their superiors and to any relevant authority, for example, the CMA, and they should cease and desist from actively seeking out and disseminating material and public information. And I'm sure you've noticed that for each and every individual, we've recommended that they undergo ethical training and that they seek legal counsel, because most of their ethical issues are not only unethical in themselves, but they're also illegal. And in line of that, we have some recommendations to firms as general. And to expound more on this, I will yield to Mercy to take you through.
All right, keeping in mind Joanne's recommendations, I will take you through the course of action. And in this course of action, we've divided into two sections, whereby we have the short-term plan as well as the long-term plan. So to begin with, in the short-term plan, we advocate that the companies in question, that is cybersecurity, Spring Capital, and Peers Computers, should first carry out damage control where they deem necessary, as well as enforce disciplinary action. And we believe that this should take about a span of 5 days, whereby they have thorough investigations as to what occurred in this story. Then moving into the long-term plan, we advise that companies should first form an ethics compliance body that will be independent, and they will be charged with the responsibility of interpreting, clarifying, and communicating the code. And as you can see, the structure will have a chief ethics officer, followed by a disciplinary committee, and thereafter have supervisors in every department in the various companies. So to begin the long-term plan, we begin at the development phase. But what exactly is this that is being developed? It's a code. And we believe the code should go hand in hand with the company's core values and principles, as well as borrow from the CFA Code of Ethics and also the constitutional law of Kenya. Then moving into the introduction phase, at this phase, we believe the companies should hold training sessions, discussion sessions, and even bring in ethical specialists so as to ensure that the employees are made aware of this code and shown the importance of it. Then moving into launch of the code. At the launch of the code, the top management, that is the CEOs and the board of directors, should be present so as to show their support and full commitment to this code. Then at the communication of the code, this should be done through company newsletters. They should also post the code on the company website such that all the employees have easy access to it. So we all know that if the code is available to us, then employees should be able to use it more often. Then after that, they can enforce the code. And by enforcing the code, they should create a reward and penalty system, whereby if at all any employees do deter from the code, they are aware of the consequences they shall face. And thereafter, we'll have success in our companies, right? And this should span about a period of 6 months, as indicated by the diagram. And if at all we have this, then I'm sure that the ethical issues, as we have been told earlier, will stop. Rather, we should be able to stop. And I will yield to Cynthia to conclude for us.
Thank you, Mercy. Now we acknowledge that if managers fail, then so does the company. So who should spearhead this? We believe that the managers, the top board, the CEOs, they should spearhead this. And we believe that if they take into consideration our recommendations and they implement the farm action plan and the code of ethics, then they will enjoy a long-term, permanent ethical culture in the company. Now, to you, distinguished guests and judges, thank you for having us. We are now ready for questions. Thank you.
What do you think could have been done to prevent these actions from happening, and who would have been responsible for doing that?
I believe that if they were made more aware of the Capital Markets Authority regulations from the top down, as because the CEO gives the leadership of the company. Therefore, if the CEO, maybe through talks, stressed the need for having like an ethical standard that we adhere to, these issues could not have happened, as people would have been knowledgeable of the issues and know that they violate the ethical standards of the company.
Who do you think malpracticed the most?
To that answer, we give Teddy. Teddy carries out deceits, he manipulates the financial statements, and goes ahead to use his subordinates to seek material non-public information. Then when he gets the material non-public information, he front-runs with it, failing to prioritize his clients, and goes ahead to carry out transactions on this, which only benefits him.
What textbooks or source materials you used to form your opinion?
Mostly we were guided by the CFA Code of Ethics. We also went to the internet and looked at some of the CMA regulations. And apart from that, we'd like to thank our lecturer. He's called Ferdinand. He really helped us through working with the case. Yeah.
In your recommendation, I didn't hear anything to do with the structure, organization structure, and the structure of information system that would be used to ensure that the proper, they call it Chinese walls, in terms of how the information flows in the organization have been created. So I don't know how just training people on ethics and not putting the right organization structures would solve for the issue that you came across. You comment on that.
The companies had proper channels of communication, but they just didn't have a proper way of enforcing their various issues. And that's why we formed the ethics compliance body that will come into that and ensure that they do actually ensure that there is no more ethical issues that arise.
But you are the ethics body. So what do you do this?
We are the ethics body. As the ethics body, if the ethics body does ensure that they check on performance indicators such that if at all they see any ethical issues arising, then if they'll be able to stop this and ensure that it doesn't continue. And also the body
I think to help her finalize her answer, you can see in this body, we have the last part, there's a supervisor for finance, human resource, operations. Those are just some of the departments we have in companies. So the ethics compliance body is supposed to have like an officer in each department, like overseeing most things going on ethically, and as she was talking, I'm sure there was this part for communication of the code and enforcing the code. Now, communication will be in regards to your question. Which ways will you use to get this information to your employees, and will it be effective? And enforcing, this is where we bring in our performance measures. Is it really working? If it's not working, what do we do about it? If it's working, we're supposed to commend, and what are the different ways we can do that? So.
I didn't quite hear about how they will deal with Ibrahim and Aisha, who are the clients. So can you just clarify how they will be dealt with?
We believe Victoria, she should carry out her due diligence concerning the suspicion around the sale of shares. So she should just thoroughly investigate why does the CEO and the president of the company want to sell all his shares in his company with his daughter. She gave a reason saying that she wanted to start up her own company, but as for Mr. Yusuf, he gave no reason, and therefore she should carry out her due diligence before actually executing any sell orders of theirs.
Victoria and Collins are CFA candidates. What would be your recommendation that the CFA Institute how they should treat Victoria and Collins? Should they be allowed to continue their participation in the CFA program? Should they be sanctioned? Should they have a moratorium on their participation? Or should they be kicked out for good?
Since they are simply level 1 candidates, we believe a short-term sanction, a suspension from the program, perhaps for a short while, and then reintroduction. They're only level 1 candidates, and I'm sure as they progressed, they would better understand the ethical implications of their actions.
I want to announce the winners. First of all, I'm going to announce the second and third place, but yes, okay. Third place team. What I want to really appreciate, I think all the teams have tried very hard and they've done a great job. In third place is Kenyatta University. And very close behind, in second place, is Strathmore University. And the winners, University of Nairobi.